Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. It's time for the Mulliner and Musgrove show with me, Andrew Musgrove, and him, Sam Mulliner. Yes, we are back with our kind of 5 or 6 talking points over the weekend when it comes to the world of football, with a little bit of talk about Newcastle United. It's been a wee while since we've had this show put together due to various reasons, but we are very happy to be back, aren't we, Sam?
Yeah, various reasons. Reasons brackets general. Winning a cup was one of them. Oh, careful. You got your remote control that you're playing with your camera there. Do you not need to zoom out a bit so you can see like the kind of additions to your little studio office room that you've added there? Some lovely prints and stuff.
But we can do this. We can show everything off, you see. But thing is with this remote, if you want to go left, you've got to press right, and if you want to go left, you've got it's a dodgy remote here. But yes, lovely additions to the studio. But I think for the people watching, it's better that we are the same height, Sam. So I could have it zoomed out, and they could see all the wonderful pictures.
Well, that's just never going to be the case unless I lose inches.
There we go.
Or you suddenly have a growth spurt.
I'm not that small. But anyway, how are you doing?
Fine, good. Leicester was fun on Monday night. Had a great time. Yeah, good. It's good.
I mean, they were absolutely dire. And we are going to talk about Leicester as a club and their decision to bring in Ruud van Nistelrooy. That's one of our talking points from the weekend. Lots to talk about, lots of I think it's going to just be an hour's show of me ranting, possibly with Sam trying to calm me down. But thank you very much for tuning in.
What's wrong?
Oh, no, I mean, like I said, the decision to sack Steve Cooper and bring Ruud van Nistelrooy in for one. And then we're going to talk about this double transfer window in the summer, which has wound us up as well. But that's all to come. It's all to come. I was going to just drop a NordVPN there. This is sponsored by NordVPN. So do hit the link in the podcast description box to get your discounted plan, support the podcast, and protect yourselves. But we're going to start, Sam, with a little bit of talk about Ange Postecoglou. And we're just going to ask how he's still in a job. Granted, Spurs beat Southampton 3-1 over the weekend. But to be quite frank, I reckon your son's team would give Southampton a run for their money if they did indeed match up. He is a very lucky man, isn't he, Ange? I'm not quite sure how he's still in a job.
Because they're in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. And
whether
you like it or... Yeah, it is. Because... as we know, with Arsenal's tremendous win against Real Madrid last night, 5th is now 100% confirmed to be good enough for a Champions League place next season, 5th place in the Premier League. There could be up to 7 teams from the Premier League in next season's Champions League if Villa go on to do the unthinkable and win the Champions League. Unlikely, yes, but, they're in with a very decent shout. And should Manchester United or Tottenham, obviously the two kind of underachieving sides in the Premier League this season, go on to win the Europa League, which again I still think is reasonably unlikely, then they will get automatic qualification as well. So the fact that Spurs are in with a chance is probably why the only reason he's still in the job, I imagine. I don't know really what you're going to achieve by getting rid of him now. So they'll probably wait and see at the end of the season. And I think there'll be a few like that. I think Maresca at Chelsea is probably a bit under threat at the end of the season as well, unless they finish top 4. And they'll probably even winning the Conference League won't be good enough, as we saw with Pochettino last summer. They're just ruthless.
Well, I mean, that is a strange one, because I think getting Chelsea anywhere near top 5 or 6 is actually a massive achievement considering the size of the squad they've got. You don't agree? I think it is. I think any manager who took on that role was just going to be, for at least the first 6 or 7 months, just putting out loads of fires. So I think to get them anywhere near the top 5 or 6 is a big achievement. I know they've got a lot of players and they've spent a lot of money, but I think the chaos behind the scenes, the owners always kind of getting involved, and just like I say, having that size of squad where you've got so many egos, you've had to extend the dressing room. I think he's gone in and he's done a decent job. I think next season you expect them maybe to build on it and maybe challenge for the title. They probably will somehow find an extra £150 million to spend this summer, which is ludicrous. But I think he's done a decent job there. So I'd be surprised if he was replaced in the summer. But that being said, Chelsea
did a decent job.
Well, yeah, they've got history, haven't they? Of chopping and changing when no one expects it.
And Maresca's not dealing with 40 players, as he said. He's got his squad of 25, and then everyone else can go away with, like, Chelsea have always had a bit of a loan squad, a development squad, and then you get to the under 21s and whatever. So I don't buy it. They'll spend another £1 billion and some very questionable dealings off the pitch as well. I just simply don't understand how PSR is beyond them. But Spurs are still in with a chance. I don't for one second think they'll win the Europa League, and it'll probably be a very interesting summer. Is there any really feasible candidate out there to replace Ange Postecoglou? I don't think any of the big hitters around Europe will be that attracted to Tottenham Hotspur anymore. That their stint in the top six, I think, is well gone. And I'd always be hesitant to call them as part of the big six. It just, I don't really understand that. But yes, they had a great time under Pochettino, but since then it's become very, very flawed. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when they eventually do exit the Europa League.
What have you made of his interviews of late? He's been quite fiery in the press conferences. I think we've spoken in the past about my dislike for him. I think he's a bit disrespectful towards journalists, and I know he's under a lot of pressure, but I think his tone's got even worse, to be quite honest. What have you made of some of the stuff he's said? I mean, interestingly, I think what he said about mobile phones, I don't know if people caught it, and how he thinks it's kind of a danger, a detriment to society, because he feels like people are just wanting to get a reaction out of him and other people when they've got the phones thrust in their faces. I think he's got a fair point there, but at the same time, you are in the limelight and you've got to control your reactions, because if you get caught, it is going to go everywhere, and he knows that. Although I do think he had a valid point with the mobile phones, but in general, Sam, his tone of late.
No one likes to be asked the same questions over and over and over and over and over. So I get why he's getting a bit frustrated. They have had injury problems, but he's not the first team and first manager to have to deal with those sort of things. So that's the nature of the game. There's a big difference from managing up in Scotland and Australia and to that of managing in the Premier League, where it's so all encompassing and it's big game after big game. Every kind of fixture matters. Every midweek, every weekend. If you're in Europe, of course. So yeah, it's one of them. If you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen. And he may well get out the kitchen soon enough. Look, it happened to Eddie Howe as well. He needed to take a break, and it was the best thing for him. So I don't think Ange Postecoglou is a bad manager by any stretch of the imagination. It just could be that. He possibly needs a break from it all and needs to recharge and refresh. But it's going to be an interesting summer around a lot of these underachieving teams, or teams that think they should be a lot higher than what they actually are at the moment. They've had a disastrous season. But I mean, look, growing up in the kind of 90s and early 2000s, Spurs were a bottom half of the table team anyway. Yes, they had a nice stadium at White Hart Lane. They've got a very nice stadium now, but it is what it is. They've sold Harry Kane. Did they invest that money wisely? Some yes, some probably not so much. But I don't know. They were never going to be challenging for titles and whatnot under Ange Postecoglou.
So there we have it. And from one manager not having the best of times to another manager even on a worse path. And that is Ruud van Nistelrooy at Leicester City. Of course, as Sam said there, he was down at the King Power on Monday night as Newcastle United beat Leicester City 3-0. First off, Sam, just sum up what you saw on Monday. It wasn't the best of performances, but it was a clinical job and they got the job done.
Yeah. Oh, and we had a lot of fun in the away end. Second half, was a bit of a non-contest, but so I mean, to be fair, it was quite uneddy how Newcastle like, because when teams are so vulnerable, as we saw Leicester were going off at half time, stadium wasn't full, loads of empty seats before kickoff. Fans from the home end were leaving after half an hour. That's usually when we go for the jugular and stick 5, 6, 7, 8 past these kind of teams. But no, we didn't do that. That'll all be forgiven if we get a comprehensive win on Sunday, of course. But yeah, it was a 3-0, comfortable as you like. The game wasn't really much of a contest after half an hour anyway. I have some sympathy for Leicester. We've been there when a team looks so disillusioned, not really many ideas, not a real identity playing style wise. They need a bit of a rebuild. If the ownership aren't going to put money in to invest, then your managers are kind of a moot point anyway, whether it's Ruud van Nistelrooy or Steve Cooper or whoever it's going to be next season. But yeah, it was very uncompetitive. I mean, Leicester could have played. I mean, they had a few half chances, sure, but they could have played all night and they wouldn't have scored a goal.
Yeah, it wasn't a great performance, and it was the performance that we expected and the performance that Leicester City fans expected as well, I think. But I just think the appointment of Ruud van Nistelrooy was a very, very strange one. I think, first off, getting rid of Steve Cooper when the team was 16th and 1 point above the drop zone was a bit bizarre in itself. But look, if you don't think the manager's playing the right style of football or it's not working how you want it to work, then fair enough. But I think you've got to go out and replace him with someone who's got that experience and isn't just starting out on the journey in the managerial game. Now, I know Ruud van Nistelrooy managed over in Holland and he won the Dutch Cup over there and obviously had 4 games in charge of Manchester United. But that appointment, I think, was made solely on the back of those 4 games at Manchester United where he won 3. And for me, I just could not understand why they appointed him. I know he's young, he's got a great reputation for what he achieved as a player, and he made his name to a certain degree with his first job in Holland. But it just seemed a very strange appointment for me, and it's proved to be one. It just hasn't worked, and I would love to know what Cooper's thinking now. I would love to know his thoughts on Leicester City's decision to sack him.
Well, his reputation probably hasn't been damaged by it, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. Leicester and their fans at the start of the season had probably a lot greater ambition than probably what their squad would suggest it's capable of. Obviously, they lost their manager in the summer, didn't they, Maresca? So Steve Cooper was new in anyway, didn't have the greatest of investment, got a couple of good players in, utilised the loan market as well, but I don't know. Steve Cooper did a great job at Forest in keeping them up, and then obviously they've gone on to bigger and better things. Again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. I can kind of see the logic of the appointment as a standalone of Ruud van Nistelrooy, but yeah, it's obviously not gone well, and they just look completely lost at sea, totally lost at sea. As I said, no identity in their team whatsoever. I think 3 centre backs, the way they play, just plays into our hands, and I think it'll be the same on Sunday against Manchester United. But hopefully, maybe Gordon could be back as well, just a bit more pacier than Harvey Barnes, although Barnes has done well. Livramento as well, big word for him. My word, he's making David Santon look like a Sunday League player as a right-footed left back. He's phenomenal form. And he can cross with his left foot as well, as we saw not just in the cup final, but a few times in the Premier League prior to that. He's doing really, really well. Long may that continue. Trippier back at right back looks so assured, and he's fantastic. I'd love to see him and have another year with us. And Jacob Murphy as well, who everyone would have criticised at some point during his Newcastle career. It's similar to that of Joe Linton. From the early days there. I know I've said many times before that he'd needed to be sold and he's not quite good enough, but as the only right winger, the only out-and-out right winger at the football club, My word, what a season he's had! His numbers are fantastic, and he's getting recognition of that he deserves. And there's a wonderful moment in the second half where the away end was just entertaining itself, really. And Jacob Murphy had his song sung to him whilst there was a bit of a stoppage in play, and he recognised that, clapped the fans, made the little heart symbol over the badge, and yeah, that was a really nice moment for him. I can imagine he's having a flyer, and we need him to continue that right to the end of the season. But yeah, in terms of Leicester, they're doomed, and it's a matter of time now that Southampton's relegation's confirmed. They won't be too far behind them, and unfortunately, Ipswich, who probably had the strongest kind of chance of staying up with your man Delap, they'll probably soon be headed for the trapdoor as well. That may well be confirmed at St James's.
Yeah, I mean, Leicester, as we said there, when they appointed Ruud van Nistelrooy, were 1 point off the drop zone. They're now 15 points from safety. So that shows you just how bad it has gone. Fully
tying in with that, though, goes the revival of Wolves as well. Don't forget, and West Ham. There are a few teams that have also changed manager that have now gone on to get themselves out of trouble.
Yeah, indeed. But I still think, the point that they sacked Steve Cooper, they were a point ahead of the drop zone, so you had those points on the table.
Yeah.
But yes, there has been the re-emergence of other sides. But maybe, you appoint Graham Potter at Leicester and you don't find yourself in this scenario. But as we said, it's easy to talk within hindsight of it. From one doomed side in Leicester to another one, as you mentioned there, Ipswich. And they lost 2-1 to Wolves over the weekend. But we're going to talk about a particular incident within the game, and that was an indirect free kick. So Ipswich's Alex Palmer handled the ball on the line, and an indirect free kick was awarded in the 6-yard box. Emmanuel Agbadou shot, and it was blocked. And I just loved the fact that we saw an indirect free kick in the box, in the 6-yard box, for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember the last time I seen one. It just reminded me of Alan Shearer versus West Brom, October 2002, St James's Park. Newcastle won 2-1, and Shearer scored from an indirect free kick, similar distance, but this one ended up in the back of the net, low to the left. Solano rolled it to him, and Shearer put so much power behind it and nearly ripped the net off. But what did you make of the one on Saturday?
Poor from the keeper, wasn't it? Keep your eye on the ball. That's simple as that. But yeah, proper Barclaysman, isn't it? That when you get an indirect free kick such as that, yeah, it is sometimes funny to see. Yeah, you just got to. I can't say the phrase, but you've just got to hit it very, very hard. Akin to what Shearer did back in 2002, but yeah, quite funny. And that's a big defeat for Ipswich, though, isn't it? Really, really big defeat. Proper cliche 6-pointer, wasn't it? Yeah, it's a shame. I do rate Kieran McKenna as a manager, so be interesting to see where his future lies as well, because they will be going down, won't they? But I suppose kind of good news really on the flip side of that. The 3 teams coming up from the Championship will all be northern based, so some away days where you'll be able to be home for tea at least. So that's a kind of a positive in some sense.
Yeah, indeed. Maybe even nearest and dearest down the road coming up, which would be very, very interesting indeed. But first off, indirect free kick. How are you defending that? Are you getting yourself on the line with the rest of your teammates, and are you covering your face or covering a bit down below?
I've been to the vet; they don't work anymore. But no, I'd be covering my face. But yeah, everyone on the line. Simple as that. And whatever happens. There's only so much you can do, whether they go high or go low. Yeah, you just got to get everyone back on the line, don't you?
And just a final word for those 3 teams going down, because in many ways you can deal with the impact of going down and the financial loss by selling some of your assets. Now, Southampton have got maybe 2 or 3 players that decent Premier League sides might go in, and you could see them raising, maybe 150 million, 200 million with a sale of maybe 2 or 3 of those.
That's
Ipswich
optimistic.
will have, well, if they get the 100 million for who's the lad in the middle?
Tyler Dibbling will not fetch 100 million.
Okay, but that's what they're asking for. Then you've got the centre back as well, who maybe could fetch something. And if you added, that 2 or 3 players,
Howard
that you
Bellis is a saleable asset. Yes, I will grant
yeah.
you that you could maybe get 25, 30 million for him at a push.
Well,
But
there you
again,
go. There's 130 million in it.
sorry, if Tyler Dibbling is worth £100 million, then I now want 5 billion for Alexander Isak.
I think that's cheap, mate. For Alexander Isak. Ipswich have got the lap that they would probably sell, and they've got, is it Hutchinson on the left or the right, the winger who looks decent enough.
Leif Davis as well.
Yeah, so again, they've got some assets that they could sell and raise a little bit of money, probably over 100 million pounds with 2 or 3 sold. But Leicester,
None.
I look at Leicester and think, who are you really selling? You've got no one that anyone's going to really want to buy, and not for big money. I mean,
No.
Samari, but how much is he going to fetch? He's not going to a top club. No one is playing well either that puts themselves into the shop window. So I think if I was Leicester, their fans, I wouldn't just worry about going down. I'd also worry about being able to shift some of these potential big earners off the books and then rebuilding for next season as well.
Could you imagine if we'd have actually signed Samari and broke our club record for him?
It would have been something, wouldn't it?
I mean, you can't do the Joe Linton and stick Samari at right back or something, can you? And try and reinvent him. My word, he's not a saleable asset. He's terrible. Yeah, I mean, last time they went down, we obviously got Barnes. To be fair, I like the goalkeeper Hermanson. I think he's quite good. Obviously, yes, he did have a bit of egg on his face. Would have been more so if Cher would have scored from inside his own half. My word, what a moment that was. But aside from that, I think he's quite a good keeper.
Another goalkeeper?
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't mean for us. I just mean in general. Swapping for Vlachodimos, who I think is 4th choice now. He couldn't even make the bench in a matchday squad now. John Ruddy's getting ahead of him. But yeah, I don't know. Mavidi. I mean, could I don't know? Maybe Harry Winks could go to a Sheffield United, someone like that. But again, you're not talking sort of tens of millions of pounds here, are you? There's no one really. I mean, Vardy's going to be leaving on a free at the end of the season.
James Justin maybe could go to a lower league.
Awful.
No. I mean, this is the issue they've got. They've got. I wasn't saying for Newcastle, but they've got absolutely zero sellable assets where the other teams have. So, will be a bit of a worry. From one free kick to another double free kicks, or 2 free kicks, however you want to say it. Declan Rice last night. Oh my word! I mean, I thought the first one was special, and then the second one was just another level entirely. I like Declan Rice. I think he gets a little bit of stick here and there, but I think he's an absolute workhorse. I think he's a brilliant player. I didn't realize he had that in his locker. Unbelievable brace from him.
It's unbelievable performance all round, really. What a performance. I didn't see that coming against Real Madrid. My word. Yeah, phenomenal. What can you say? Both of those strikes, incredible. To get the bend on the first one around the near post, around the wall, and in there, and then the second one. I mean, you could pick the ball up and just go right up to the goal line and throw it in to pick the ideal spot, and you wouldn't get it as good as what Rice did for that second one with that placement. No goalkeeper in the world is getting anywhere near it. Yeah, what a performance. I mean, Marino's finish was good first time into the bottom corner. I thought it was a great finish. So, yeah, 3 phenomenal goals. And, yeah, you never really know what you're going to get with Arsenal these days. Because the Arsenal that we've played every time this season, you think, well, we'll have 3 more points at the Emirates. But then you see the way they played last night and you think, oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, we could be in a bit of trouble as we are more often than not there at the Emirates. So, yeah, that's... Yeah, phenomenal performance. As a betting man, it makes Real Madrid quite a nice proposition because it's been done before. I will be eyeing up Real Madrid to go through. But
they always seem to be that team. And I mean, didn't they do it against Atletico Madrid? Was it in the Spanish Cup or the last round of the Champions League where they were literally 3 up, and then there was a last minute goal for whoever the opposition was. They seem to score. In the knockouts, they seem to score quite a few goals. But I wonder or concede quite a few goals rather. I wonder with Arsenal whether it's in the Premier League is this kind of an expectation, and maybe a self-expectation that they're going to win the Premier League. Whereas they come into this game against Real Madrid. And I think everyone pretty much backed Madrid to win that, even though they're with the Emirates. Real Madrid are the favourites. It's Real Madrid, and maybe it's a little bit the fact that they are the underdogs, so to speak, and that's maybe when they're at their best in these kind of knockout competitions where you're not expected to win. And we saw last night how brilliant they were. But I wonder if it was the other way around, where they're playing a side in which they're the favourites. Do they maybe buckle under the pressure?
I don't know. I mean, without Gabriel as well, by the way. Yeah, incredible. I don't know whether they'd buckle if it was against someone of a lesser stature. They certainly didn't show any real signs of that in the group stages either. Bad PSV, of course, didn't they, in the previous round? But yeah, I'm not sure. I think the second leg will be very, very interesting indeed. Yeah, because you just never can write off Los Blancos, can you? They're just the best team in the world. I think their midfield is the only one that's better than our midfield, to be honest. But yeah, it's as a standalone performance, that'll probably go up there in Arsenal history. And those two free kicks from Declan Rice, incredible. I didn't know he had that in his locker. I don't think he'd ever scored a free kick before in his career. I heard Arteta say this morning when catching up on his post-match comments. But yeah, huge opportunity now for Arsenal, and the competition's been blown wide open. I like Inter Milan a lot this season. Outside of Alex Isak, I think Lautaro Martinez is the best striker in the world. I don't know why he's not been linked with a move away more. I think Inter Milan could maybe sneak the tournament this year.
Well, there you go. And I was correct when I was mentioning Real Madrid in knockout competitions. It was in the Copa del Rey. They'd taken a 1-0 lead in the first leg in the semi-final against Real Sociedad, only to draw the second leg 4-4 and after extra time. So they conceded a 93rd minute goal, which took the tie into extra time, and then won it overall. And now through to the final, and they play Barcelona later.
Sociedad aren't a bad side.
No, not at all. But it just shows then that, Real Madrid can't concede goals, so Arsenal might have a chance to add to their tally in the second leg, which I wouldn't mind an English side winning the Champions League, to be quite honest. I'd rather Arsenal than Villa, I think. I don't want Villa to win it.
Yeah. I am going to stick with Inter Milan.
But we will wait and see. I mean, what a story it would be if Villa did win it. And I'd be over the moon for Emery. I kind of like it's difficult. I like Emery. Don't like Aston Villa that much. It's one of those.
Emery was my choice. Remember, after Bruce left, I wanted Emery. I was quoted on 5 Live saying I wanted Emery in, but this was before he was linked to the job. But obviously, things have turned out pretty well all round anyway. But no, I would hate to see Villa win the Champions League. I think they'll win the FA Cup, but I think PSG have a bit more about them this time around. Very interesting game tonight. Really interesting.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what happens there. The final point then of this show, it was going to be about the Manchester derby, but then actually I got bored of thinking about the Manchester derby, so it's not going to be.
Yeah, that's pointless. It was dull, tedious. I thought it was two poor sides.
So I've settled on, Sam, a bit of a rant about the fact that there's 2 summer transfer windows coming up with a ridiculous break in the middle of them. Was it 5-day break, which is ridiculous. So let me just set the scene. So you're going to have the transfer window open on the 1st of June until the 10th of June. Then it's going to close for 5 days, and it reopens on the 16th of June until the 1st of September. And essentially, it's been done to allow Man City and Chelsea to sign players and allow them to register them for this FIFA Club World Cup, which is the most pointless competition on the face of the planet. But the winners do get something in the region of £100 million if they win win it. So I'm sure the likes of Chelsea and Man City will definitely be up for this competition. But before we rant about the Club World Cup, Sam, what's your view on the whole double transfer window?
I just don't see the point. What is the? It's just a clerical kind of necessity from their own point of view, isn't it? They're trying to make a bigger deal of the Club World Cup now, aren't they? Hence why all this is happening. Normally, it's kind of hidden away in December, somewhere far flung around the world, where usually it just ends up with the Champions League winner playing the winner of the Copa Libertadores. Yeah, I don't mind be a kind of a bigger kind of degree made of the tournament itself. I think it's quite interesting to face teams from South America and from wherever and how we kind of match up, and just sheds a bit more light, because we are kind of ignorant to kind of goings on in South America, where obviously two of the best nations in world football ply their trade, and some immense talent from South America is plucked for them to go and play in Europe. But yeah, the kind of whole point. I mean, it's obviously not just Chelsea and Man City that are allowed to buy players. Everyone is during those windows. But I think it's interesting to see how it ties in with the PSR deadlines and that sort of carry on, because a lot of deals will be done later on to kind of go with the new accounting year and all that nonsense, which I just hate. But yeah, it's just a pointless. It's just pointless, isn't it? The whole thing. I don't understand why it needs to close again for a couple of. Just leave it open. Who cares?
Apparently, it's because you can only have it open for so many days. So that 5-day break, it allows them not to break I think I can't remember the exact number, but it can only be open a certain amount of days. So
well, break their own rule.
Exactly. I mean, do you think
when a FIFA never done that before?
Do you think that having it open and then having it closed for the Club World Cup, does the Club World Cup become an attractive proposition for players who maybe want to move? If Man City or Chelsea come knocking, can they offer up the Club World Cup and the chance to play in this tournament as a kind of a sweetener? Come and join us, get a nice wage, and come and play in this prestigious competition, or does it not really matter?
I don't think it matters too much, but if you want to get the deal done quickly and then integrated, you've got a chance to hit the ground running, win a trophy, have a bit of a break, and then you're already kind of integrated within your new squad, aren't you? But I don't think it makes a blind bit of difference, really. It depends on the attitude of the player. Do you want to go on holiday, or do you want to play football and potentially win? I suppose they want to see it as the biggest trophy in club football, but obviously it's not. It doesn't hold that prestige yet. Maybe it should. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how it kind of develops and whether it catches on in the summer or not. But everything is so down to the financial aspects of teams now. Look at ourselves. Will we be going to Australia again at the end of the season? Pre-season, it looks as though Hong Kong and South Korea are the destinations for the money spinning tour this summer. But again, that's what it comes down to. And any kind of revenue stream you can enhance, then you take it. So if there's a big prize pot for winning this Club World Cup, that'll go a long way to aiding and abetting your PSR status.
Certainly will. I mean, do you see Newcastle United moving in this first week of the transfer window, or do you think they'll keep their powder dry and wait 5 days to the second part of it?
Given that our situation with PSR is kind of neither here or there this time around, I think it will depend on a few things. I mean, there could be some kind of easy deals to be done, potentially James Trafford. That could be one that could just get announced straight away. But in terms of the kind of big deals that we're kind of hoping for this summer, because I do believe if 3 or 4 big deals get done and we don't have to sell in the kind of transfer windows following on from that, then I do believe we could well be challenging for the title next season. There's obviously a big if that goes with that, but I think those will probably come in the kind of second summer window.
No, I agree with you. I think that they are 4, maybe 5 really good signs away from challenging for the title if they keep hold of everyone, which I think they will do. And then we hopefully can see some really good additions. But yeah, the Club World Cup, it's like, you remember when you were younger and you used to play on FIFA, and instead of playing either the career mode, you would kind of create your own tournament and just add in all the good teams. That's kind of like what it is. But then I look at this list and you've got teams from Asia who are just going to get absolutely battered by the European sides. No disrespect to them, I just
Yeah,
don't
but
see the point in it.
how will that develop though over the years? Because you will then have sides from the Saudi league go in there, and then they'll obviously be a bit more competitive if they continue their current trajectory in kind of buying players. So I think it's one to develop. I don't mind the premise of it. I think it's quite a good idea. I don't know. It's just timings and things like that. I don't know.
That's the other thing, isn't it, Sam? We got rid of FA Cup replays because the players were tired, and here are some of the English sides who no doubt voted for that, traveling halfway around the world to play right after the Premier League season ends. So
yeah, but who does FA Cup replays financially benefit?
Well, the smaller sides who get the replay.
Correct. So of course the big teams are going to do without FA Cup replays and go for £100 million prize pot in.
Well, no, I get that, but it just makes a
where is it? Where is it held? This Club World Cup.
This time it's in the United States of America.
Oh, goody. So there might be tariffs on that prize fund. Topical.
Very good. But this is the other thing as well. And this is a wider point, the Premier League and I'm sure FIFA as well, we talk about net zero and the carbon footprint, and yet here we are flying all the way around the world for this competition. Most Premier League clubs will be going to the other side of the world. And it's like, I'd rather football as a whole, as a game, don't have this pretense. Don't try and claim that you're going to bring your footprint down when you're flying halfway around the world for a meaningless friendly. Just, to me, it annoys me. It really does.
Money talks.
That is the bottom line. That is the bottom line. Sam, thank you for popping on to the podcast. Always nice to chat to you. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed listening or watching to the show. You know what to do. Wherever you're joining us from, if you're on the YouTube channel, hit thumbs up, hit subscribe, get into the comments as well. I'll get back to each and every one of you. If you listen on the audio channel, thank you as always. Do leave us a rating and review. And for myself and Sam, we will see you guys next week.